If you're dreaming of a comfortable, worry-free retirement filled with full-on travel, hobbies, and peace of mind, you're not alone, my friend. But what if you are making some crucial mistakes to your retirement plan that could potentially derail those dreams? So today we'll discuss a fascinating study by JP Morgan. They've analyzed the spending patterns of over 5 million retirees, and they've also highlighted three critical retirement mistakes which you absolutely can't afford to make. So the very first mistake which many of us do make, and that is we assume that our retirement spending may remain same or may even increase steadily each year. So traditionally speaking, the retirement planning builds with an assumption that the spending will increase. Things, for example, healthcare or inflation. And let's talk about the inflation, and that's why like many of times that many of us do factor in inflation into our retirement calculations. But this JP Morgan study is basically painting a totally different picture, and that is they have identified retirement into three different phases, and they are very interesting. So the first phase is the go-go years, the second phase is the slow go years, and the third phase is no go years. So the first phase is the go go years, and that is between 65 to 74 years. So this is the time where people are most active, and they're basically enjoying and traveling and spending a lot of money during this phase, the initial years of the retirement, and they mostly spend on the leisure activities. And as per this study, they've highlighted that the spending will increase by about 1.9% during this particular period of time. And the second phase is the slow go years, and that is between 75 to 84 years. So as per this study, the spending begins to increase steadily, and that is not above 0.5 percentage. So that is remain same, and it might increase a little bit, just around 0.5%. And people tend to focus more on the home activities, such as like home maintenance, as well as some of the social activities, and that's the main phase. And the last phase, and that is the no go years, so that is about 85 plus. So interestingly, the spending will decrease by 0.5 percentage, and that is the study, and this is what they have like highlighted in the JP Morgan study. I'm going to put a link into this description so you can read it further. And according to this study, that above 85 years people tend to spend more in the social activities, as well as their expenses may increase up to certain percentage, but that might be only for healthcare costs, and rest other costs like any other expenses, so they're spending basically less, so and they spend less money during this phase. So that is a very critical time. So what does this mean for you? So it means that retirees initially they get a bump, and during those initial years they spend more money. Then after the spending will decrease or stabilizes, and then after they decrease their spending. So that means they totally don't spend too much money because it's above 85 years. But we need to factor in the healthcare costs here, and also we need to factor in, just in case if they have not had any insurances, then it might be a bigger cost during those no go years. And that is very interesting study. So like I would recommend you to read the whole study. It's very interesting. And the mistake number two is not considering inflation's real impact. We often underestimate the real impact of inflation on our retirement's nest egg, and that is a second crucial mistake which this study reveals. So the inflation can shrink our retirement savings, but according to this JP Morgan study, it is not same for everyone, and this basically reveals a crucial nuances to the retirees. So the average inflation rate which most of the retirement planners do quote, and that is 2.9 percentage, and that is between 1982 to 2024. Okay, so this is as per the study, and according to this study, this is a very general rate. The retirees do spend less on the working clothes as well as for the commuting, for the transportation costs, but they do spend more on the healthcare costs, and this could not be the same for everyone. Okay, so it depends from person to person. So according to this study, for retirees with $250,000 to $750,000 in real assets, their spending increases only about 1.5 percentage, which is adjusting to their inflation. So it is not the real inflation, which is 2.9 percentage. So we need to factor in about their assets as well. So this is a very crucial nuance, and this could be different from person to person. Importantly, this doesn't mean that we should ignore inflation totally, but actually it means that we need to understand that what are the assets we have and what are the other, like, liabilities we have. So the best thing would be, in ideal scenario cases, you should have at least a well diversified portfolio. So if you want to learn how this three fund ETF or three fund well diversified portfolio works, and how this could help, and how you can inculcate the whole concept into your retirement pot, then please refer my video, and I'll put a link into this description. And that brings us to the third mistake, and that is assuming retirement planning is a one size fits all solution. But JP Morgan's study highlights that every person is unique, and they have their unique angle. Their health conditions different, their asset classes are different, their financial goals are different, and their desired lifestyle is totally different. So for instance, those who are planning to retire early and those who believe that 4% rule might be good for them. So let me tell you that this rule might not be applicable to those who are retiring early, especially if they follow the same principle, then their retirement pot would last around 30 years. And that's why it might not be a suitable strategy for those, and that's why they need to decrease their withdrawal rate by about, like, 2 to 3 percentage. So that could make their fund last longer, because, like, they'll be living longer. Okay, and also they need to take into consideration a lot of other factors. So just in case if they are planning to travel extensively, then they might need to have a specific withdrawal rate for certain time. So let's say, for example, if they're spending in their early phase of retirement, which is the go-go years, then their withdrawal rate could be higher, but they need to adjust after certain years as well. So this is very a personal thing, and that is a very big mistake which many of retirees do make. So let's quickly recap these crucial findings from the JP Morgan study. So I've prepared a very nice chart here that could sum up the whole study, and that is like the mistakes which we make. So these three critical mistakes which we make, okay, and the traditional assumption, what actually traditionally people are saying and the financial planners are quoting, okay, and what is JP Morgan's insight, and this could be the implication for the planning, so how you can do your forward planning for the future. One of the biggest surprises, according to this JP Morgan study, says that many retirees might not need much savings for their retirement pot because their spending tends to decline over the years, and as we age, the priorities also do change. So that is a very crucial nuance to this whole study. Some of the actionable steps which we could consider, and that is working with a financial advisor. So the financial advisor, they have a proper expertise, and they could tailor a plan based on the person's circumstances. Let's say, for example, if they have different types of objectives, they have their children, if they would want them to give them some sort of like assets or something like that, or they would like to help them for their asset creation or things like that. So it's always best to seek a professional advice, and they could tailor the plan based on their like future objectives, as well as they have different concerns as well, such as health concerns. They have different type of priorities as well, and divorces, and many a times, like, they would want to inherit their assets as well. So there are, like, financial planners, financial advisors, so called, are available. So it's always best to talk to them initially, just before the retirement, so they can create a very good plan, and that could help us. And we need to review periodically as well. Another thing which you could take into consideration is we should plan for our healthcare costs in the future, because priorities might change as and when we reach to that no-go years, and that is 85 plus years. So we might need some healthcare costs, and we need some long-term care needs, and many a times we need, especially if those who are retiring in the India, then it's always best to have your insurance plan in place, and that should be aligned as per your retirement objectives, because healthcare costs in many countries such as India and Dubai are increasing by around 14%, which is above their national inflation rate. The fourth point which I want to highlight is that is like we need to invest wisely and in a very well diversified portfolio. So we need to make sure that our diversified investments should hedge against the inflation and also the market volatility. And not to forget that we should consider a dynamic withdrawal strategies, and that should be based on the performance, the market performance, as well as our personal needs. And the fifth point, which I've just highlighted, and that is we need to realign our strategies based on the market performance. And not only that, we need to sit with the financial planner, periodically. So we need to re-evaluate our plan. So we need to make sure that our plan should be flexible enough so that we can change it periodically as well. And that is the main job for this financial financial advisor. So it's always best to have a quick chat with him, at least I would say on a yearly basis. So many people they do on a monthly basis as well. So it's always good to have a good chat with them and sit down with them, and they can help us to guide us in the future. So this was the interesting study by JP Morgan. I hope you have found this very insightful, and please don't let common pitfalls derail your retirement plans. So if you find this video very helpful, then please do hit the like button as well as subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.